Hi guys, welcome back for the Kings and Queens of the Tribe on Yildiz readings. And those of you who are new, a very warm welcome. I'm a psychic medium as well as a twin flame. And the reads that we're doing this month, I am going to come back very shortly and do the twin flame read. I am a twin flame as well as a psychic medium. If you need a booking, you can go to the link below. Now, I didn't come to you yesterday because I had analytical issues. This fool decided to press portion of the camera and it disconnected the camera completely. So I had technical difficulties. So due to such, yes, I am behind. Now, in this video, what I'm actually going to cover is the connection of your astrology. And the reason I'm doing that is especially when you are moving through adversity and you're moving through situations in your life. The eclipse energy brought a lot of situations up for us. And it is very important to actually have a look at, and that's the reason why I've mentioned it. Now, this transit and potentially from last month, because we had the eclipses in Cancer and Capricorn, it is going to affect you for the next 6 to 12 months. So being mindful of it is really important for you to actually understand why scenarios are playing out, you know, how to navigate through the matrix of it. So yes, I'm still going to be doing romance reads, and I'm going to be starting on the twin flame reads pretty soon. And I was hoping I would get these done, but due to scheduling issues and a lot of bookings, it has been quite complicated. But I have pulled the energy of what per house is coming up for you. Hi, guys. Now, Cancer fell in your 7th house, okay? Bear with me while I get everything. I was more organised, but I'm not. Okay, so this is marriages, contracts, and partnerships. So you'll find with the energies of the Cancer Capricorn, plus we've got the nodes there as well, in July, moving forward into 2020, it's going to be a theme that you're going to be looking at. So you find the retrograde stage and the eclipses is ending cycles out and moving them forward, and how do we look at those contracts? So there was potentially in the last 2 to 3 months a lot of purging with things that you had interconnected to. Now, it is also important for those of you who are Cancer to watch this video too, because this is your shadow sign. So you may find when you look at zodiac signs on YouTube at the moment, especially if you're healing, always look at your shadow sign, because there can be things that are coming up in that shadow sign for you. Definitely with your sun, moon, and rising, look at those as well. And Aries at the moment is in Chiron, and that's falling in your 4th house. So when it comes to your wounds, potentially you could also look at that house also. So with your marriages, contracts, and partnerships, you may have been reflecting over old situations, okay? You also might be reflecting on what to interconnect with in the next 6 to 12 months, but it's going to be a theme that's going to be coming up for you guys, Capricorn. Some of you might be going through divorces. Some of you might be moving towards a new relationship. And there was an interesting analogy I listened to, and it was through a spiritual kind of healer as well as a motivational speaker. And he was talking about burning boats. And hi, Giggle, the burning of the boats is, you know, we're so nostalgic, and especially your shadow sign being Cancer. Plus, we're looking at the shadow aspect with, you know, marriages, contracts, and partnerships for you guys. This can be connected to your work, the people you mix with, your relationships, past tense situations. The nostalgic frequency of your shadow sign, which is Cancer, can be almost that, you know, you're doing a lot of purging and healing through it. With that energy of what's coming through, you've then got the Capricorn eclipse, which is in your 1st house. So really you changing quite a bit. And it's interesting because when you evolve, what you do tend to find is you're basing a lot of scenarios on who you used to be, but you're not that person anymore. And it's adjusting to that new frequency. So I do feel for you guys, you know, some people, places, and things might want you to go back to the way you were. And in a way, it may feel safer to do such. But this analogy that I looked at was, and it was a spiritual advisor, as I mentioned, saying burning the boats. Now, burning the boats is, you had a key in a different situation. It worked. It was relevant. It was nice. It was peaceful. It felt comfortable. Spiritually, when you have a walk-in, what does tend to happen is you come to a place, it's easier to go back, but you no longer resonate with it any longer. So even if you did, you're not the same person, it won't work. But we have this nostalgia connected to nicer vibrations, especially when we're potentially not awoken. So the analogy around the boat being burnt is we hold on to it like it's a go-to. You know, it's, oh, I can go back, it will be nicer. So if this doesn't work and I'm getting scared on this path, potentially I can actually go back. What you need to do is understand every path you're moving towards is still taking you to your higher destination. But the ego tells us that what we're moving towards is going to be far worse. It's never going to be far worse in theory, but living the same vibrationally will be that. So anything that you're needing to leave behind, it's not that it won't resolve. It will, but it's going to look like a different storyline, especially with the 2 eclipses that we had in July. I'm still going to be addressing the astrology for this month, and we still have through to the 16th with the Leo moon, so you're still holding that frequency. Now, of you looking at yourself in the past tense connections, you're ready to move forward. Leo energy for you guys is in the 8th house of life, death, money, legacies, and the ability to rebuild. And again, you'll get this Pluto frequency coming through for this. You'll also be looking at what needs to end and taking the strength to actually end those cycles. And it can just be the reality that new storylines are evolving each day, but it's only that we are experiencing pain body experiences and memories from childhood and triggers from different relationships, being that Cancer was in your marriage, contracts, and partnerships zone, is that potentially it's the acceptance of that, and can you rebuild after the fact? It's like, what's it going to look like now that I'm proceeding forward? However that directly relates to you. You do have the tools, so I do feel you're going to be very successful, and it's due to the fact that you're completely changing. So if you're really looking at yourself with the 1st house, between now and 2020, if you don't accept the fact that you've changed and you're looking outside of yourself for that, it's going to be problematic moving forward, and it's going to come back up by the end of the year in a trigger point with the Capricorn eclipse. So if you're realigning yourself to the new vibration of the way you are and accepting it and taking direct action, any subject matter that come up around the eclipses is still being directly dealt with in August, and it's going to be dealt with for the next 6 to 12 months. So that's the reason why I'm really mentioning these energies. So we've got looser energy coming through by October. But again, this is a building. It's like the foundational state of it after the fact of a purgatory cycle. So we'll get some cards and we'll tune into the energy. Now, Chiron for you guys with your wound is in your 4th house. You will be looking at potentially in the past where the psychological foundation in certain scenarios was imbalanced. It might be to do with domestic issues. You might get trigger points coming up in that area. Endings, wills, as in parents, people passing over, parents and homes. So this is the area you'll find you'll get the most subject matters coming up in a trigger point. But you'll be looking at it from a very rational point of view, very much like the Virgo moon energy that's coming in. So it's really going to benefit you. Now, let's see what's coming up in these energies. And I'm going to pull some Abraham Hicks cards. I do have a new deck as well, the Divine Energy Oracle, which I will be using for all the soulmate twin flame reads, which I will try and do an update today. I'll do my best. I've had a lot going on. And I'm one person. And I feel you guys are probably all doing this yourselves, and that's whatever zodiac sign you are. Okay, so with the Cancer energy, the card that's come up is our diversity supports our individual freedom. It can be you're looking at your tribe, okay? The people that you love, the people you're in, realizing the different approaches. Each individual has relationships. You might be reflecting over previous relationships, but also looking at the fact that you're not, you may not be wanting to expect everyone to be like you, but this could potentially be an expectation that people have of you. But it's a purge that you're having, and it may be as you've evolved over the years, having that peace that you actually have changed. And 7 is very much a very spiritual number. It's falling in your 7th house. Like I said, the Cancer frequency is very nostalgic. So for the next 6 months with these energies coming through, you still will be meditating on the fact that, you know, does this person mesh with me? The person I'm tuning into, have I changed? Then if I feel they've changed, even if I'm not in direct communication with them, we all do change. Yeah, we have innate traits in us, but places, people, and things help us directly evolve. The Capricorn energy that's coming through for you in your first house of self. I can stop attracting don't wants by attention to do wants. It's in reverse. So I'm feeling as though you guys may be feeling as though you have a lot of things coming at you. But it's more to do with the fact you need a little bit of your own time at the moment. I do feel, even energetically, separately tuning into your energy, I feel you're really goal orientated right now and you're trying to achieve major targets. You're not letting anything hold you down. You're also not looking at the aspect of fear-based frequencies to even define who you are any longer. So with the higher vibration, I do feel as though you guys are detaching from the paradigm of victim mode. That's what's really coming through. I'm not feeling this to be a negative card in the fact that it's actually come up in reverse. I feel it's more you're trying to shift the obstacles out of your way and you're not going to let anything come in between you and your destiny. This can even be past tense scenarios that were quite toxic. I'm also seeing you guys getting to a place where you're realizing that people are who they are. And if they choose to change, your universe assists with their change, you're leaving that for karma to deal its hand. Now, with the Leo frequency of where you're taking your strength back, as I mentioned, it's in your 8th house. This can be resurrecting the new energy of who you are and within your life, recovering after adversity, potentially even somebody passing. This doesn't have to be that it's coming up in the here and now. It can be an old energy where someone passed away and you're doing a secondary healing. And I mean, sometimes we say to ourselves, why are these things coming up for us? And as I was talking to Giggle this morning, you know, for those of you who have been following Yildiz readings for a long time, I did mention last year there were large pockets, and especially, you know, not that this channel's all twin flame, but people who were going through a spiritual awakening. There were groups that were going through it very hardcore energetically with the astrology. It was pretty arduous. I did mention last year that the younger generation and potentially third wavers would be going through a lot of purging and a lot of healing. So potentially this might be from anywhere through to the children all the way through to mid-teens, and the 20s are experiencing this energy very heavily. But they're doing it in a very fast-paced frequency. So it can be people around you purging at the same time as you, and it can also be trigger points coming up where you've already dealt with that vibration and it's physically coming up in other people similar to what you've gone through, and you're being introduced to that same frequency, and you've gained the perspective, but you're getting bothered by the fact that it keeps coming up. It is, but it's not directly relating to you. But as empaths, we all energetically will attract this frequency. And I swear I can see something purple just around there. It's quite bizarre. The law of attraction assembles happy relationships. Now, this is in reverse. So anything that's not meant to be with you guys is going. Now, when we hear that, we can get triggered because we can think, oh, God, does that mean that this person's leaving my life? I don't want them to. It can be the direct energy of how they were. But if you're tuning into their energy too much of how they are, and I kept hearing yesterday, complaining about complaining is still complaining. Yeah, my daughter, I hear you. It's like, wow, big spiritual awakening for her. The funny thing is that this energy, the reality is, if you tune into a person and you're saying they're going to be like that forever, you're actually manifesting that, okay? And I truly believe this. I've seen it myself on my own journey. You've got to understand that even the yucky things we see doesn't mean it's going to stay yucky forever. There is a method to the madness. And when I was stuck in situations in my life, I was like, now, I've tried to open every door and I don't understand why. Because detachment's required for situations to resolve and evolve. So really your advice during this time with the Leo transit all the way through to the 15th, 16th, because it continues on, as well as you've got the Cancer Capricorn frequency still present with you guys, evolving and resolving these scenarios to end our old cycles and get your new beginning. You're taking steps towards it, but at the same time, there is going to be a method to the madness. So you need to be patient with that transition. Detach from these things and understand that how they're supposed to be is for your higher good, and it's not taking from you, it's going to give back to you. Now, with your wounds, the clarification card, and this is anything that's triggering you. Is this a healthy environment? You know, there's conflict in communication. Mercury's in shadow. It's direct, but you do tend to find it's the yuckier part of the Mercury retrograde, and that's just my opinion. If you go and research it, you'll notice that technological issues will be heavier so in the direct stage, but it'll ease up and you'll have the patience and tolerance, so to speak, to deal with some of these things. Still not really the best time to sign contracts and do things to that nature, but at the same time, you could be having wounds connected to these areas of where the foundation was faulty, where endings needed to be, inheritance, parents, and your home environment. So anything that's coming up on that. This card's in reverse as well. And you're going into hermit mode when it comes to these wounds. Billions of people are living in perfect diversity. And it's like you could be seeing a lot of people around you energetically going through it, and it's directly impacting you. And it's making you look at your physical foundation and going, I'd rather just go into bloody hermit mode, okay? Very normal, okay? So even you parenting children and dealing with certain aspects is going to be causing issues, but you're guided to go into hermit mode if you require to recoup. By the time we reach the Aquarius energy with the moon, now the Leo moon is all about you. The other energy coming through with the Aquarian moon can be quite an egoic state. Again, Mercury in shadow proceeding forward. We've got other planets making aspects. Mercury will enter Leo on the 11th. Uranus will be going retrograde. Again, some of your spiritual things and the things you want to directly do are going to be very different. So you might have really loved, you know, going to play golf or going to the movies. Your pastimes and your hopes and dreams are going to change, and that of what was before will no longer relate to you. So it's a great time to investigate what those new things are, and you're going to have the strength and the courage to actually tune into perhaps potentially some of those things. It is going to be heavy during the month, but it is going to serve a purpose, you know, so it's attempt to move through it. And I do want to do more information videos to help you actually cope with the frequencies of the astrology through 2019, because 2020 is going to be very different. And all of what's happening is to take the trash out. And by the Aquarian moon, it's you versus others. So is it in alignment? And this falls in second house, and this is connected to your professional resources. So whether you want to network and create a new tribe, again, it's going to come down to who you are with the Capricorn frequency of self for the next 6 to 12 months. And again, marriage, contracts, partnerships, who relates to you, who doesn't, whether it be work, whether it be a relationship, the relationship with yourself, tying up loose ends when it comes to paperwork, professional resources, possessions, material value, and land. Again, you know, it might be a sharing of assets that you're dealing with, or who you're willing to give your things to, or the things outside of yourself, versus you really coming to a place where do you fit into that paradigm anymore? It might have been that you're saving for a house, land. The card that you've got up, what's coming through is you're ready to move forward, but you're waiting for a bit more information. You're going to assess the situation during these times, however this relates. Our source is one of love, not condemnation. So there might have been, and again, there can be a lot of trigger points around this time. Now, with those trigger points, what you're going to find is, can you work it out, Humpty Dumpty? you will have differing views because we have worked on ourselves from the beginning of the month into the 16th. Then you're moving to a place where you're negotiating. Okay, can we come to a compromise here? And you may have two very different ideas and ideals and needs. You're looking through and you know you're going to have to walk through that door. Can we walk through this door together? People, places, and things. It doesn't have to be a relationship, but it can be. Or do we need to accept that we're going down two separate paths? By the Virgo moon, it falls in your 9th house. So again, it's interesting. It falls in your religious sector. So this could be something to do with marriage, contracts, and partnerships, your education, foreign countries, and travel. So it may be for healing. And again, 9th house, 9 being hermit mode. Needing to recruit. This can be where you're changing your diet. You're getting into light body frequency. You're eating differently. You know, our food really energetically this month and potentially for the last 2 months. When you've been consuming food, you'll find you're going off certain things. With that, it's very normal to, while you're purging, go through that. And you notice that with binge eating. You know, when we're emotional, we eat, but then we detach from it. I even mentioned to Giggle this morning, you know, I struggled with weight all my life, and I would always look outside myself and change the food or exercise more. And it was something where it was up and down, and it was masses amount of weight that I would lose. But the one thing I did find is when in 2017 and 18, I was doing a lot of healing. And instead of sweeping things under the carpet, as they came up, I directly dealt with them. And what I found is now when I eat, yes, in the beginning stages, I was exercising, I was eating healthy. But I found as I purged, it didn't directly stay on me anymore because it feels like a spiritual purge. So when you've got blockages in your chakra, you tend to retain fluid, require certain food groups. You've got to go with the ebbs and flows of what your body needs. And if you're eating a lot, it's because it's a bit like being pregnant and your body all of a sudden is craving excessive fuel. It's usually I get very worried when that's happening. I'm like, what am I going to go through in a few months' time? Because if my body's doing this, it's connected in with energy and source. It's telling you something, you need to listen. So it's a bit like nesting, okay? 9, hermit card, nesting, preparing. You could be throwing things out. It means you're moving. You could be eating more and then getting detached from it. I mean, I've been going through a stage where I've been craving more neutral foods again. I've also been craving a lot more fluid and sweets. And the sweets, I'd say, is because we're needing sharp bursts of energy to keep us going, which is not a healthy way of doing it, but it's directly what the body is requiring at this point. So it can even be the happy endorphins connected to chocolate. Just saying. Because it's not like me. I mean, I don't really crave things like that, so it's strange. Now, falling in your religious house, this can be some of you have been going through divorces. It can also be, that's the truth, it's what I went through. I will do videos connected to the twin flame path so that you guys can actually understand some of the processes I went through and the signs and synchronicities. And I'll try and do videos on that so you guys, you'll get the tips of when it's coming. Now, by the time you're healing, you're going to change, a lot of us are going to change our diet. And the Virgo frequency is black and white. It's okay. So with this energy coming through at the end of the month, you looked at yourself with the Virgo energy. You took the strength in the power of what do I need to end? What do I need to assess? Yeah, don't even get me started with cookies. I've been teasing Giggle about it. I keep eating them in front of her. What you're going to rebuild, if you have the power to do that, what you can do on your side of the fence. Hello, beautiful kings and queens. Now, by the time you get to the negotiation stage mid-month, you can actually have more communication with people we haven't seen. It can be in relation to conflict, things you wanted to communicate about. Okay, from here on in, what are we going to do? Show me. With the Virgo energy, it's almost like the Justice card. It's black and white. Show me the facts. No facts? I'm sorry. Okay, we're moving along. This will be a stage where you will continue forward. Now, it doesn't mean that person's not coming with you, but it can mean they need an energetic upgrade, but you need to proceed forward, and it will be for your health because the Virgo frequency is, you know, getting your energy anchored in, recovering, recouping, because, you know, we have had a heavy few 3 to 4 months. It's falling in your religious, education, foreign countries, and travel. So these subject matters can be coming up for you. I can get from an unwanted to a wanted relationship. And this is really where the decision making comes from. It's like, look, show me the facts. Are there facts? No. I need to make a decision. Okay, I've made mine. Simple. 2 cards come out. I am a vibrational being, vibrationally emanating my desires. Not wanting to manifest anything. Seeing things through, recovering. It's in reverse. Recouping. Because, you know, it's a time to recover. It's a time, again, it's a 9. 9 is coming through for you guys quite a bit. I do feel maybe, you know, when we are recovering, I always say we're having a descension to have the ascension, the forward movement. Now, Jupiter will be going direct. So, yes, you're going to have a bit more movement coming forward. And even the small things you were doing, you'll find by next month you're going to be having leaps and bounds of movement forward. And the retrograde is the assessment of what you potentially in a habit form or a routine form you were doing, or what those plans were. Going retrograde's like, do you want to take the magnifying glass over that whole plan, over that whole energy you're pushing out there? The scenarios, the people, places, and things, and then you gain that clarity and you're shifting each piece of the puzzle back into where it should have been in the first place. And then you're proceeding forward with more success. Let's tune into the energy of what's coming through for relationships. Okay, how are the males first dealing with this energy? That are Capricorn. We'll look at the females, then we'll tune into the love. Okay. And I'm reading these ones upright. Females. Okay, so how are the males relating to the astrology? And this is what was coming through with the Capricorn energy of self, with any contracts as well, with the Cancer tribe notion coming through, reaching for the stars. I mean, even these people that, you know, wanted to manifest certain things, they're moving past it because we know we can't control other people, right? So with this reaching for the stars, I really feel, even with these endings, they're taking direct action. They're looking at things and they're going, look, okay, yes, I was sad that didn't work, but, you know, this is who I am now and I've really changed. Things have moved in. And now you're proceeding forward, but there's all these new beginnings, and I feel major plans for male energies coming through. It's like they've actually energetically detached from certain ways of being, and they're proceeding forward. Really, really investigating, and I feel by this Aquarian moon, this is what they're going to be in. Beginning to explore what is going to be a good situation for them, be it to change a relationship they're directly in, or if this is a twin flame, they're tuning into it and looking at the past because it's like the shadow side. Again, go and, if you're Capricorn, go and look at Cancer and see the shadow sign, but definitely look at your Venus house too of the energies of what's coming up. Now, with this, it's looking at the past, but it's moving to the future, how they can apply their energy differently to get a better outcome in scenarios. Can it be fixed? By the Virgo moon, recovering. They're becoming clearer. Why? Because when we're in hermit mode and we're having our downloads, and this is by the end of the month, you'll find that the clarity is going to come to the male energies that are Capricorn in general. Now, for the female energies, how they're relating to each portion of the moons. I find this amusing. Engage higher reason. It's like there's got to be a reason why this is happening. There's got to be. Again, when you're processing and you're in third eye, you're trying to trust in the path. So to a degree, you're doing it similar to the male energies of this zodiac sign. Look, they're both love hearts. You're like, okay, what am I passionate about? What do I love? What do I need to move towards? Engaging in higher reasons. There must be a reason why this is happening. There must be, you know, I want to do things for a reason, not just because I'm told to. So You're detaching from these scenarios. You're purging a way of being. You're purging a paradigm. It's interesting because, you know, by the time you're doing it quite opposite, but you're doing it the same. Like by the Aquarian moon, no matter what this is, whether you have to walk away from a scenario, it's due to the fact you've got to love yourself. Now, you can still negotiate and talk things through by loving yourself and dealing with conflict. Okay, so you still can do that by the Aquarian moon, because the Aquarian moon is going to give you an opportunity to see whether something can be fixed. And that just flung off the table, which I take as a sign, and I'll tell you why. So with the love yourself first, it's as long as you're being respectful to yourself in the negotiation with a connection, a love, romantic interest, it's going to be fine, but you have to respect yourself. So self-love, self-worth, but at the same time, we can't let them fill our cup, okay? By the time you reach the Virgo moon, and I did say hermit mode, now think things through, come through. But the funny thing is it flipped and flung off the table. So I was saying that for most of us, we may go into hermit mode with the 9 energy. And I did mention the Jupiter energy proceeding forward. I want to check the dates here because I'm sure they're trying to tell me something. Bear with me for 5. I don't know why I'm picking up by the 19th even. There is a point where you're not supposed to make rash decisions around the 19th, so pre-warned. But if you knew well and truly, even before this transit, some of these things and you were ready to make a decision, you were just waiting for some information, you're probably best to do it of the Virgo moon, okay? So try and wait for that point, but it's like pivoting forward because it flung off the table where you're going to think it through once you have you moving forward. No ifs and buts about it. Now for romance, let's check in. Okay, there can be some conflict really that's coming up in the first week. Now, it can just be that you're tuning into another energy. I do feel this is more on the male side of the fence, 6 being number of man, but it's being human and actually looking at those situations and battling through, you know, but having the strength to deal with any 3D related things or spiritual things that you need to in general. Now, there might also be for those of you who are in a connection, you're battling and struggling and wondering if you can move forward, but you're trying, but you're being a little bit protective because the armor's actually on the person on the card. Now, a lot of totems have been coming up. Now, this is, you know, at the heart of the matter, currently what stands is, this is a number 11 card, God of Love. So again, love yourself first for mid-month come through. And I feel between, you know, you and a loved interest energy. You know, I feel the male energies in general relating to this are looking at themselves and wanting to feel how they feel inside, but investigating what that really is. I feel for a lot of female energies, they already know this. So they know who they are. They're working on their self-love, trying to break codependent patterns. But you want, again, there's a bow and arrow in his hand. Not wanting to do the same rat race. There's a dead rabbit in his hand, you know. No rabbit down the hole. It's like no more of that. Wanting to fly like an eagle and wanting to get this off the ground. So I feel this is by the Aquarian moon. You might, if there's someone you haven't seen and you're waiting for them to come in and communicate, it's a real good time. This is also, can we bring this together by the Virgo moon, a decision? But I do feel this is coming towards you. So it's positive energy. Whatever's going is going, but whatever's meant to be in your life is coming towards you, and you need to trust that process. Yeah, the male energy is really coming to a place where they're getting into high vibration. They're raising their vibrations. They're moving away from people, places, and things that don't relate to them. They're also counting their blessings that it could have been worse than what it was. Now, I don't mean connected to you. I mean with certain situations and emotions that were playing out in their life, their shadow side. Now, 2 cards came up for the female side of the fence in the romantic atmosphere. Following your dreams, but also addressing, and this has been coming up, and I'll guarantee you when I do the masculine and feminine read, this is going to come up as well. Addressing your addictions. You know, sometimes we actually transmute energy. So we may be attracting vibrations from other people. So it might come out in a sense that it's your energy, but at times it can be something that you're purging for other people. Being in particular environments, you can take on their energy. Detaching from even what the other person's doing or whether it's going to be perfect, if there's something you can do. Like if there is, yes, if it's your side of the fence, but if there isn't, it's just moving forward and trusting in the process. But it might be you're holding on a bit too tightly because there can be some fear-based frequencies coming up. And it can just be that this connection is very spiritual and quite addictive. But you're trying to not fall back into that frequency. In between you, God of Love, clarification card, have faith. And I do feel this is going to be balancing out that anything that's happening is meant to happen. Trust in the process, please. Any questions while I'm here? I'll have to wipe the table down and put the astrology back on it for the next zodiac sign. Any questions from my lovely kings and queens? Who have we got next? We have Aquarius and then Pisces. And I want to get these done today. I don't want to leave it another day. It's driving me crazy. We're going to get this show on the road. I mean, I was going to come last night and come online, but it wasn't working. I'm sorry. It just wasn't working. So universe had spoken. I just accepted. Any individual questions to do with you as a Capricorn or your counterpart being a Capricorn, and, you know, any worries you have in relation to the transit? Does it directly relate to you? You know, do write down under the video after, because I always do. No, I'm not blowing my nose. I'm wiping my porcelain table because I write the astrology on there so I can just relate it to you. You know, do write questions. If you have any suggestions for a video and there's something you want me to do, I'm working on it, yes, but feel free to actually write suggestions down. I do read your comments. If I can find my, there it is. I'm like a painter. And I've got broken nails. Always when I say to myself, I'm going to get my nails refilled. Now they broke before I get there. Thank you very much. Yeah, so the 7th and the 1st house will relate to you guys by now and the end of the year. These are going to be subject matters that you're closing out, and actually, yes, well, we are going to be doing videos on that. And I have tuned into a lot of tools that I feel are going to be really important, especially with astrology and especially with people that are going through an awakening, having your Kundalini symptoms, you know, and you kind of think, oh, it's done, you know, I've had my awakening. No. There's lots of different things I've learned over the years. And I think because I tune into it every day, there's tools that I feel, especially over the next 2 years, we're really going to need. And they're really going to help your children as well, because if you've gone through it, there are crystals we can use for particular time frames. There's food-based things we can do going through astrology. You know, dealing with the dark night of the soul, how to telepathically link in, how to develop your gifts psychically. I mean, all of those things are essential during your awakening, because if you can't develop them, you won't cope, because it can be a very heavy energy. You will also find during Neptune retrograde, you will see more, you know, those of you who have your third eye open, the spirit realm will be here more so. So you can connect in, and the way your loved ones communicate with you, especially since that come up with the Leo in it, your Aries, no, it was the Leo moon. Between now and the 16th, you may energetically feel your loved ones who have passed over around you, but the way in which they communicate to you will be memories. So especially if you haven't developed your third eye, advanced so, you'll find you'll be thinking about them, you'll be dealing with conflict or a problem, and you'll remember a sentence they may have said to you, and you'll go, yeah, I know mum or dad or nan would have said that. That's the way they actually communicate with you. It's confirmation. So, you know, smile and know that they're around you and understand they're trying to communicate with you. And as it develops further, you'll actually be able to use other things, like you can preempt them with certain things. More than likely, you'll see, look, it could be wherever your late husband was from. You may see signs, you know, of where they were born, and you'll start seeing animal totems connected to that, or you might hear a song connected to that life with that person. You could see a person wearing something very similar, and it's their way. They bombard your frequency, and you're going, meh. You know, and sometimes you may even forget certain dates and then go and check and go, oh, it'll be their wedding anniversaries, birthdays. Very much the astrology will bring it more so, but as you're tuned in, it will be higher and lower. The moon cycles will bring it through as well. Your consciousness will be higher during that time, leading into it, leading out, and you've got to be careful on certain moon phases. And it definitely depends on what zodiac sign it's in. Your dream state will alter as well. Anyway, I'll be back in a minute. If you're wanting a booking, you can go to the link below. Yes, I can tune into your past over loved ones. I can tell you what they look like, what their personality was, what they want to tell you. I can also tune into your past, present, future of what they want me to show you. If you're a twin and you have a spiritual blockage, I can also tune into what I'm hearing coming through in a frequency sense and where it needs to be realigned. But also where potentially you guys are mirroring each other, because you will mirror each other the whole way through. Now, anyone who has clicked the like button for the Kings and Queens on YouTube on Yildiz readings, thank you, because this does share the information and it helps other people get information that's relevant. If you feel it's relevant, others will. So I do appreciate that, and I will be straight back. Hi, Jen.